Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today we are going to be making the tyre. The process is not too dissimilar to the tumbler tyre we made in another video. Unfortunately it's a bit of a repeat in that sense, but you know, it's a part of our project here, so we have to get it done. We can't just skip over it. There does come up a few unique challenges here. I mean, the shape of the tyre is different, the tread is different, and we do run into some small issues with UVs, which I think we can maybe take a small discussion at the end of this video. Getting good definition on tyres I think is a little bit hard because there's a lot of tread which needs to be fitting in the UV space, and I find a way around it. I'd like to hear from people to see how they solve the issue, but you don't always have to map the UVs, but if you want to sell your models you'll most certainly have to, and if you are sharing your models anyway you want to have proper UV layouts, but we can get back to that later. So here we're just doing some simple shaping here. This small little shape we're gonna duplicate and reuse. And here we lean as normal quite hard on the symmetrize. I always find that building tyres are quite simple in its basic form, but I still managed to somehow do it wrong. This was actually my second recording of this video. The first time somehow I managed to use the symmetrize function and lose some tread. God knows how. And I also had, like I said, ran into some problems with UVs. And here we're going to use the bevel. We used the bevel weight here instead of the angle, which I think was a better choice. So here's our basic form. Just try and tidy it up a little bit and then we can duplicate and reuse. There is an extra edge at the top middle here which I filled in, which needs to be deleted here. Right here, I think my faults were in another place when I filled this in. And this little snapping tool is absolutely great, snapping to edges and to vertices. Really a big time saver. Always remember to turn off the snapping afterwards. These videos are up on 2 times speed, so remember you can go into YouTube settings and reduce the speed if you wish. Obviously the talking over video will sound a little bit strange, but I think you'll survive. There's nothing really so super advanced here. There's no buttons I'm pressing which you shouldn't really already know, and you have the screencast keys down to the right also. But if you do get stuck, just slow it down, rewatch, and rejoin us later. I do find in Blender a lot of the random clicking around you do is mainly to do with the pivot. I use quite a lot the cursor as a pivot, and resetting the origins. It seems quite complex when you're just moving the cursor everywhere and resetting the origins, but it is really just so you don't have to do things manually. You just can mirror against your origin point or mirror against your cursor. You see here we want the origin right in the middle here, so we can get the synchronization, the symmetry. But sometimes we want to symmetrize just on one piece, so then we need to move the cursor. Here we're just trying to work out the spacing a little bit. We're pretty much eyeballing it. I have more references off screen. And you see a circle on the screen here. That was one of my earlier attempts. I think I do go in and remove the it's a curved circle. We'll get to it later. So this is our basic tread pattern. Now we need to go in and fill in the middle pieces. First we need to get everything roughly at the same height. And just for the ease of use here, when we fill in the middle pieces, first we take away all the symmetry, so we don't need to do 4 times as much work, and then we get rid of all the pieces which are not on the bottom layer here. You can see if we just work on the bottom, we see what we need to actually fill in here. Otherwise it becomes a little bit difficult, because sometimes when you're trying to fill in the edges you grab the raised pieces. Here I've sped up super speed because this is very boring, monotonous work. It's just filling in edges. It's nothing you need to see. We've all done it. Just try and get some good spacing. Try not to have too much crowded geometry. We do go in later and space out a little bit. So now we're back down to normal speed. And on my references we have some small raised edges, which we're going to introduce here. I do find with tyres, the more small details you make, the better they look, because they are in essentially very simple forms. But if you really want to sell it, go a little bit further. You're going to see when I texture in Marmoset, I add some details with just normal mapping, which really makes a big difference. And again, we just need to level up things here. And we just need to get rid of some of these bevel creases, which have found their way out here. And then add some more creases. I do find we don't have a lot of geometry here, but when we get the wheel completed, my computer does get a little bit slow with the bevel and the subdivision modifier. So here you can see our vertices are not completely even on the edges. Here we try and even them out, because when we actually do make the curve of the wheel, we want to have as even vertices as possible. We should really have done the edges closest and furthest away from the screen also, which I did not do. But I do go in and do it later. Possibly off screen. And this is where we have a little bit too larger bevel maybe. Here we need to just try and play around to try and really sell that rubber look. You don't want to have too much so it looks too soft. But if you go too light, then it's going to look too hard and not like rubber. The shaders will help us a little bit, but you still need to get this right. The good thing about the bevel modifiers, we can go in afterwards and change and adjust. So it's not looking too bad right now. And we've kind of done too much. We can reduce this a little bit. As you can see now, we're going to take away the over edge and make it into a repeatable, less repeatable pattern. we need to make sure the edges at the bottom and the top are exactly in the same position, so when we repeat with the array modifier they connect perfectly, which they do. This now we're going to try and do the shape of the tyre. It's a little bit hard to find the shape of the tyre, the profile shape. I found this image online somewhere. No idea if it really is the shape of an actual tyre, but it's good enough for us. And I've seen the final result and it actually does look absolutely fine. But I did do a deep dive to try and find references for this, and it was not as easy to do as you'd think. And even I think at the end of this video I'd still end up adjusting a little bit because I wanted more curve in the sidewall. But this is our initial curve we go for anyway. And we bring our rim into the picture and we try and size it up a little bit. And the tyre in my reference is not necessarily exactly the right tyre either. It looks like more of a road tyre. We have, I mean, I don't know if it would be like a dirt tyre maybe. I'm not up to scratch with my tyres, to be fair. But we have more tread in the other one anyway. I have to be honest, I've actually found some really strange results with the curve modifier recently. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm doing this as the same as I always do, in setting it up, but sometimes it appears up and upside down, and I have absolutely no idea why it happens, and sometimes I've even had to go in and delete the curve and re-add the curve. Some really strange results. So now we've rescaled this tyre, so that's why the bevel modifier went a bit crazy. We have to readjust. So now we add our circle to make it run around the rim. And it was here I got the word strange result, because the first time I added this tyre around, the tread we made was really, really small and really thin and very strange. And I tested, and in the end I just deleted the curve and re-added, and it worked. So I have no idea why sometimes this curve modifier is just acting crazy. All the scales were correct, the origin point correct. It seems like a ghost in the machine. So now we just need to scale it out a little bit, find our depth, and then we build our sidewall. The reason it's we have no sidewall right now is because we've not really expanded out our tread to the left and to the right side. We've mainly focused on the top piece, and it's simply because I'm not sure how much sidewall we actually need as yet. Here I'm just trying to scale it in so our tyre sticks outside of the rim. There was a lot more adjusting and playing around here than I initially expected. So you can see my computer's freezing a little bit here with the activation of the modifiers. Just a small render check to see how it's looking. Still playing around with the sizing here. And here I abandoned the fit to curve on the array, and I decide to scale on the length just to kind of get a perfect fit here. You normally don't need to do it, but as I said, I'm having so much problems with this curve modifier. And now we've got the right sizing, we're going to expand out the sidewall to get what we need, and it's quite simple. It's just a flat plane expanded out divide. See, we need a little bit more. And there we are. But we still need to increase. Increase the width. Almost home now. So here I became a little bit unhappy with the curve. We're trying to bring it in a little bit, and that ultimately makes our sidewall a little bit less curved than I wanted it to be. You can see our sidewall here is quite flat. Here I add in some creasing, and this is the conversation we'll take a little bit after this video regarding the UVs. First of all, when we just have this little sliver, it's good to unwrap, add your seams and unwrap here, to save you having to unwrap the entire array of 34. So here you go. Now you can see the repeating pattern with the seams. Now we adjust the sidewall. Just trying to regain a little bit of a curve here. So now we apply the array modifier, merge by distance, take away the double vertices, apply the bevel, add the bevel and subdivision so we can see how it looks. Computer's freezing a little bit here. It's not looking too bad. So now in the pools here, which you don't see, I do the UV unwrapping, export into Marmoset, and do some texturing. But first, we add these hairs. I think somewhere in the video got lost these hairs. Essentially, I add a cylinder and shrink wrap the base of it onto our tire. We don't actually extrude anywhere. You can see the shrink wrap method we've used in a few other videos. And we add these hairs again just to the small sliver of our tread. Again, just making sure that we remove any double vertices. So now we come back from Marmoset and we take a look at the tire, textured in all its glory, and it turned out good. Looks nice. So we can see with some nice sidewall textures. We've got some seams in the center of the rubber here. See these small lines and seams, which I've added in Marmoset. Looks quite nice. I do go back again and add some dirt texture. This is initial render, and we've got some nice crisp sidewall text there also. Really happy with how it turned out. We do have some interception up here, which we need to fix. I'm guessing we would probably need to increase the length maybe of the forks. Interesting, because we actually do go off the references, so I'm not sure why it looks like that. Maybe we could just reduce the size of the tire also. We'll see. I'll take it at a later date. I also did try a few different colours with the tyres, a white and a blue texture. At some point we're going to have to take a decision regarding the colour theme of our bike. This tire's good. I do also go in and delete some of these hairs. You can see I've deleted some of the hairs because they're not all gonna be visible on these tires. Some are gonna get torn off. this is the small point I wanted to take up here. Essentially what we need is good resolution on the sidewall of our tire. If we go into this view here and we look at the sidewall, the definition here is quite good. So if we can go over here instead. But the definition we have on the sidewall is very good. You can see our small striping here and our text, fairly high quality. And this is difficult because if you look at the entire tire, this is a lot of UVs to actually unwrap. And I'm not going to sit here and try to explain UVs. If you don't know about UVs, go and find out about UVs. But if we were to unwrap this small piece here many times, then a lot of our UV space disappears, which means all these shells, these islands, become less, have smaller space. When they have smaller space, then your definition disappears. So the fix I did for this was I took our initial sliver here. This is the small repeating pattern which we created, which, just to give you an idea, is here. And we unwrapped it once. When we unwrap it once, it then becomes takes up this space up here, and essentially all of these UVs are sitting on top of each other. So if I take this UV here and grab it, you can see there's another one underneath and another one underneath, and they are sitting all 39, I think we did, all 39 of these are sat on top of each other. This is called overlapping UVs. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. The reason we are doing it because we have all of the tread, all of the grip in this small area here, which means all the rest of the UV space here is essentially our sidewall. So the sidewall is not overlapping. I've unwrapped all of these sidewalls so they have their own UV space, which means we can write text on them, we can do whatever we want to them with some very high definition. This may be a good thing, this may be a bad thing. The downside is because these tread UVs are sitting on top of each other, essentially they are a repeating pattern. I decided that this is not going to be so much of a problem because it doesn't maybe matter so much that it's a repeating. If we go over here, we can see you can't really see that it's repeating if we go above. And obviously the tread repeats, but I mean the actual colour, the staining, I don't think you can see it. I don't think anyone's going to look at this and say, you know what, that pattern is repeating all over the place. And that frees us up to have a very high definition sidewall here. So that's the one thing I wanted to discuss because it did become a problem. The first thing I did was I took the entire UV space. If I just do it as a test here, we can see what the effect becomes. If we take the entire UV, press unwrap. Okay, so this is our UVs and most of this space here. Okay, we can fix this, but most of it, this is our sidewalls, very small. You will get no definition on these at all, very hard to texture, and a huge amount of room. If we maybe go to Smart UV project just test. Not so good either. But you can see anyway, it becomes a mess. Very much hell-like compared to this situation where we have lots of high definition. When we add our rubber texture, the definition up here would be worse than here. So ideally you would try and have all the UV shells exactly the same size, all on its own UV space, but sometimes you need to try and just make things work. And that's what I did here. I'd be interested to know if anybody else had a better solution for this, because I don't know one, and I'd be happy to hear. But I think the result looks absolutely fine. As you can see here, it looks like a tire. It looks like a good tire. So yeah, we'll come back with the next video. Again, I did promise the seating and the what more we're gonna do, the seat and something else. I don't know. Probably the seat and the seating bar and that kind of stuff. Yep. Thanks for being with us. See you next time.